but we have Nardi with us. He's going to present to us about the Wabash Land Conservancy, and he has talk about somebody who is a true advocate for the environment and approaches it through research and science. So I'm just delighted. So, and look, we have technology. So, first time we've used it for this. So I'm going to run. The one thing we don't have, and we'll have it next time, is a remote to advance it. So I'm going to be his helper. I'm going to sit up here, but come right on up, Jim.
Over here, Ann. Okay.
Further, and we are so glad that you're here.
Thank you, Ann, for organizing this. And I want to thank Jane for organizing it as well. Thank you for inviting Wabash Land Conservancy to speak to Trees Incorporated today. We have several of our members here. Our president, Alyssa Morley, over there on the left. Jane Santucci, my wife Joy, and of course myself. We at Wabash Land Conservancy, well, let me mention, for those who would like more information about our organization, we have these handouts, and I'll place them here, and you can pick them up at your convenience. At Wabash Land Conservancy, we're in the business of restoring and protecting wild places. And while all of us come from different backgrounds, different ancestral backgrounds, we have different political views, we have different religious beliefs. Some of us are hunters, some of us do not hunt, some of us are vegetarians, some of us are meat eaters. I think we can all agree on the value of saving wild places that are rapidly disappearing. So let's see, I guess, is this a good place to stand? Okay. So, and we save them for many reasons. Okay. I might also, there are many reasons why we save them. First of all, next slide, Ann, for their scenic beauty, for providing habitat for wildflowers, and next slide, beautiful, pristine forest. Okay, next. As well as sanctuary for wild creatures, both those with backbones and those without backbones. Those that are macroscopic, like towhees and chipmunks, as well as microscopic, like rotifers and ciliates and tardigrades. And also for places to go where we humans can go to learn, to grow, to soothe, and to heal. And Wabash Land Conservancy, since its inception in 2007, has opened 4 different nature preserves in the Wabash Valley. We serve 6 counties: Vigo, Vermilion, Sullivan, Clay, Putnam, and Park. And the 4 preserves that we have are Jackson Snyder in Vigo County. We have Whitaker Woods in Clay County, Sanctuary Oaks in Sullivan County, and the one that's just most recently opened is Atherton Island Natural Area, and many of the scenes that I'll show you today are from Atherton Island Natural Area. And in the next few months, we will be opening a new preserve in Vigo County known as Bushnell North Star Woods. And this is located in the northeast corner of the county. So the next slide, Ann. Okay, so Atherton, the most recently opened preserve is in Park County. It's known as Atherton Island Natural Area. It's known as Atherton Island because it was an island in the Wabash during the last glaciations. So it's an elevated woodlands. And we opened it almost exactly a year ago, the end of October of 2024. And this year, 2025, was a busy year. We began on New Year's Day with a New Year's Day hike, and you can see we had a great attendance that day. We had scheduled 2 wildflower walks that had to be canceled because it was such a rainy spring this year. But in April, we were pleased to have visitors from Indianapolis. Next slide. We had Alan Morrison, who's the director of the Department of Natural Resources, Ron Helmick, the director of the Division of Indiana Nature Preserves, and Andrea Huntington, the director of Indiana Land Protection Alliance. So we had a beautiful day, and we hope the folks in Indianapolis went away impressed with what we are doing. Next. So Atherton Island Natural Area covers 250 acres. It's made up of, it grew over, we started with the purchase of 80 acres in 1993. We added 29 more acres in 2015, 80 more acres in 2015, 80 more acres in 2018, and most recently 62 acres on the south side in 2022. So it was a long time in coming because we had to acquire the land. We had to clear off the trash and litter. It was phenomenal how much trash and litter had been left there in the years preceding. We had to remove old fences and mark the trails. And then we were able to open. And at Atherton Island, currently we have 3 miles of trails, and we hope to open more. At Atherton Island, we have a diversity of habitat from old woods to young woods to new wood, baby woods. And I'll describe more about the baby woods in a few minutes. Okay, next slide, Ann. Okay, so what do you see at Atherton? Here are the trails. I'll just briefly go through what you'll see if you take some of the trails. Next slide, Ann. Okay, we'll start with springtime at Atherton Island. It is divided by little streams that travel through the ravines. This particular trail, the 3 trails that we have, the first one, the longest one, is Liriodendron Loop Trail, which is named after our state tree. This one is the Gift of the Glacier Trail. It follows the stream. The stream is lined with rocks, boulders, and sand that are the gift of the glacier that sat right there at the southern edge of the glacier, sat on Atherton Island about 10,000 years ago. So as you go along this trail, next slide. Yeah. Okay, this is early spring. Before the trees at Atherton Island leaf out, we have a wonderful understory. These are the representatives of the spring ephemerals that appear there. Harbinger of spring, spring beauty, snow trillium, bloodroot, and dogtooth violet. Next slide. This is just, the trees provide the leaf litter, the abundant leaf litter that's decomposed and nourishes the wonderful understory at Atherton Island. This is just a square meter of ground under the forest to give you some idea of the great diversity of plants that you see there in the spring. This is the bellwort. The blue arrow indicates false rue anemone. Here we have wild geranium, the tripartite leaf of hepatica, wild phlox. And so thanks to the leaf litter provided by the trees, we are able to see this wonderful diversity of spring ephemerals. Next. And just another scene in the springtime from one of the ridges looking down to the creek. And this is just to show you a close-up of the leaf litter in the spring and some of the spring ephemerals. Dutchman's breeches, dogtooth violet, and pepperroot, a mustard. And this, what I want to emphasize is how this leaf litter supports a wonderful diversity of creatures. Many of these that first appear in the spring have overwintered in the leaf litter or in hollow logs, like the red admiral and the blue butterfly, the beetles, and there's some wonderful interactions that go on between. This is a bee whose total life cycle is dependent on the dogtooth violet. It appears from the soil in the early spring, just in time to pollinate the dogtooth violet. It collects the pollen and nectar and provisions its larval cells underground. And so the rest of the year it's underground, and it only comes out at the time when this spring ephemeral is blooming. Next. Now we're moving on to summer. We have some old woods. Atherton Island is made up of woods, trees at various ages. This is one of our old woods, and if you look at the understory in the summer, next slide please, you see we just completed a plant inventory at Atherton Island, and we'd like to point out that we have a great diversity of ferns. We have 11 different species of ferns, which is really great for this part of Indiana. And this is just one of the beautiful species that grows there, the broad beech fern. Next slide. And then in the summer, we see a different mix of creatures in the forest understory. It's home to many warblers, such as the worm-eating warbler, some wonderful plant indicator plants of a very healthy forest, ginseng and maidenhair fern. Next slide, please. And we're proud of in our old woods, we're proud of the many large trees that we have. Can anyone identify this particular? Oh, no. This happens to be most of us think of sassafras as small, slender. This happens to be an old sassafras, definitely an old sassafras. Next slide. And we have, over the years, there's been logging, but there's still remnants of some lovely old trees. We're very proud of this grove of old white oaks. We've just placed a log bench under this so that other people can enjoy when they walk the trails. But we're not only protecting these undisturbed wild landscapes, most of our time is spent, next slide, restoring wild landscapes. Because as I mentioned earlier, when we purchased these land, we discovered that they had dumped old tires, old TV sets, stoves, couches, you name it, we found it. And so we've removed miles of old fence from the property. And fortunately, Phil Cox has taken the stacks of this old wire fences, recycled them at a salvage place in Mecca, and we've made something like $700 that we've added to the treasury of Wabash Land Conservancy. So we've done this with volunteer help, but also with the help of the USDA Conservation Reserve Program, and we recently received a grant from the Natural Resources Conservation Service to remove invasives. And we're blessed with not having bush honeysuckle as an understory, but we've had problems with multiflora rose, and the foresters from Timberland Consulting have done a wonderful job in removing and improving the habitat, the understory habitat. So next slide. So this just gives you an example, removing old fence and invasive. This was an old fence line before and after, and then next, another example. You could, this is almost a solid wall of multiflora rose. And so we opened it up. And when we searched the woods nearby, so this drops off into a ravine. This is what we found. This is my friend Phil Cox. And we were very excited because I noticed that this was an unusual tree. It had unusual bark, and it turned out to be ironwood. Most of you are probably from ironwood, Australia, Virginia, and it also goes by the name of hop hornbeam. It's not one of our large Indiana, it's a small understory tree, but that's exceptionally large for hop hornbeam. So Phil and I checked the state record. It was in Indianapolis, 36 inches in circumference. This is 38 inches in circumference. So we were all excited. We thought we had a champion tree here. But unfortunately, since the one in Indianapolis had a larger crown because it was in a park, this had a smaller crown because it was in a dense forest. So close, but it didn't qualify. Next, please. And so this shows our some of our restoration work. In the last 30 years, we've probably, by hand, most of you are familiar with the tree planting bar. So we've planted over 5,000 trees with the tree planting bar. And these were planted 30 years ago. These are mostly white oaks, and this was planted in an old barnyard. So the soil was barren, it was eroded, and this is what it looks like 30 years later. So just imagine what it will look like in 70 more years. The oaks will be like this. Next, please. Okay, so as I said, we planted 5,000 trees with the tree planting bar, but when we acquired a new parcel in 2018, it had 36 acres of former soybean and cornfields, okay? We received a grant from the USDA to plant 16,000 trees on those 36 acres. That was in 2021. And so this is what it looked like this spring. This is a white oak. These are white oaks here. We planted those fields in 9 different trees that you can see, mostly oaks. And oh, the one I see, I missed one. Shagbark hickory. Okay. Next, Dan. Okay. So in addition to restoring, we try to create an atmosphere where creatures that called the trees home can go about their business in peace. And so we'd like to have educational programs to show that by having intact forest, well-treated forest, we also bring back creatures that have been gone for years. And so for the last 2 years, we've held what's known as Moth Night Out. It's the last Saturday in July, and we begin with a walk through we have a 9-acre prairie for educational purposes. We have a walk through the prairie. We set up a black light to attract beetles and moths and lacewings and other insects. We have bat detectors from Dobbs Park Nature Center. So we're able to identify what bats are flying overhead. And this year we had another special feature. We had Providence Wildlife Rehabilitation Center bring a screech owl and a great horned owl for the event. And then, in addition to seeing what insects came to the blacklight, we brought out at the end of the evening, when it was completely dark, the local fungus called foxfire. Most of you have probably heard of it. It's a bioluminescent fungus, and this is always a hit with the children. Those who were interested were able to take a culture of foxfire home and observe it at their leisure in some dark closet later on. So this has been very successful. That's fine, that's fine. And it's just, at our other nature preserves, we hold Halloween walks, we have fall foliage walks. So we're really trying to get the public enthusiastic about what we're doing. And so I'll emphasize again, we plant and we protect the trees. And these trees in turn provide homes for many neighbors, like fungi, flowers, vertebrates. We have these aggregations of these colorful millipedes. Well, this was quite an event. I wasn't going to talk. I'll just briefly mention. I know there's a millipede expert at Virginia Tech, and so I told him about this strange aggregation. He said, "That's wonderful." He said, "I've never observed it, but it's been reported once in the literature. The Indiana Academy of Sciences in 1950 reported this unusual aggregation of thousands of millipedes, these colorful millipedes, at McCormick's Creek State Park." So this was the second observation. Okay. Next. Okay. And so as I conclude, I want to emphasize that at each season, these trees provide habitat for all these other creatures. The caterpillars of this moth feed on the leaves, and so these tree crickets feed on the leaves, and then in turn they provide food for the predators like the hornet, the praying mantis, and this little wasp provisions its larval chambers with tree crickets. And of course, then the birds come by and feast on the insects and the fruit. So, and then in the summer, you have, does anyone recognize this tree? Basswood, right. So it blooms, it provides nectar and pollen for pollinators, like this sweat bee, this hawk moth, and the leaves are consumed by the caterpillar of this moth. Here's a geometric caterpillar consuming the leaves. And then, of course, all these provide food for the local birds. And one more, and okay. Okay, so at this time of year, once again, you have this community of creatures that the trees provide habitat for. Does anyone recognize this tree? Yeah. Chinkapin oak. Okay, and then finally, so we're at Wabash Land Conservancy. We're striving to attain the goal of preserving and restoring wild places, and we hope that this provides. We feel that this provides places of beauty, peace, and community and pride that give back not only to nature but to the Wabash community. So thank you for letting me present, and I'll be glad. Thank you for your patience, and I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have them. And yes, Mary Beth. Oh well, I brought for the occasion. I have 4 of these to give away, and so I'll give out some numbers, and then we'll draw numbers, or does anyone, I can just give them out now.